Hello, today we're going to look at the midterm study guide number one. Number one says a worker uses 400 inches of steel wire to make 500 springs of the same size. At this rate, how many inches of steel wire are needed to make one spring? So if I have 400 inches for 500 springs, I don't know how many inches of wire over one spring. So I divide it by 500 to get to 1. So when I divide 400 divided by 500, I do that here, I get 4/5. So it's 4/5 inches of wire. 2. The cost of 7 pounds of grapes is $17.50. What is the constant of proportionality that relates the cost in dollars Y to the number of pounds of grapes X? So it said Y was my dollars, so it's $17.50, and the pounds is X. Constant of proportionality, K equals Y over X, so $17.50 over 7. Divide, and I get $2.50, or $2.50. Which situation is best represented by the equation below? So I'm only going to go over the correct answer here. C says there were 23 players left over, so we have 23 left. After 135 rugby players in the league were divided into 15 teams. So we've got 15 teams. We're going to take those away. What is B, the number of players on each team? So this one works for this scenario. And when you read the other scenarios, if you're walking through the equation as you do that, you'll find out that they're easily not going to be the correct one. Number 4, Russell is a collection of 1,200 pennies. Of these pennies, 25% are dated before 1980, 35% are dated from 1980 to 2000, and the rest are dated after 2000. How many pennies in Russell's collection are dated after 2000? So I'm looking for after 2000, and I added these up to find out how many are before or at 2000, and that was 60%, which told me that 40% are dated after 2000. So I put 40% over 100, 40 per 100 is equal to, we don't know how many for the part, and the whole is 1,200. I cross multiplied and I got 40 times 1,200 is 48,000. 100 times x is 100x. Divide by 100 to get x by itself. And you can do this out, or you can see that those zeros there, and we have 480 is equal to x, so F, 480. Number 5, which equation is true when k equals 15? So all I did here was substitute 15 in to each of my equations and work them out. On D, the correct one, 15 divided by 5 is 3, minus 2.5 gives me 0.5 left. D is the correct answer. And I've done the work here for the other ones if you want to look at that. Number 6, Terry ran 8 kilometers. 1 mile is approximately equal to 1.6 kilometers. Which measurement is closest to the number of miles Terry ran? So if 1.6 kilometers is equivalent to 1 mile, we need to find out what is equal to 8 for your miles. And I found out that 1.6 times 5 is equal to 8, and I did that by dividing 8 divided by 1.6. So all I had to do here was multiply 1 times 5 to get how many miles, and it's 5 miles. You could have also cross-multiplied and divided, and that would give you the same 5 miles. Number 7, a modeled equation is shown. So we have our key here. The empty ones, or the white ones, are positive, and the ones that are shaded are negative. Our rectangles are x, and our small squares are 1 unit each. So here I have 1, 2, 3, 4 x's, and then I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and those are negative, so I'm going to subtract 8, is equal to, and then I have 3 positives. And it didn't ask me to solve it, it just wanted to know which equation could represent the model. So at this point I was done. C is the correct answer. Number 8, a package of 25 wristbands costs $5.25. At this rate, what is the cost of 1 wristband in dollars and cents? To find our unit rate, I just had to divide 525 divided by 25, and I got 21 cents. So 0.21 is the correct answer there. Number 9, the measures of 2 angles in a triangle are shown in the diagram. Which equation can be used to find the value of x. The first thing you need to know is that the measures of the interior angles of a triangle always add up to 180. You know that. You can get rid of B and D without even looking at anything else. The next, when we see these lines here, they're telling us that that's the same length, right? Those are equal, and my angles are going to be equal there. So I have two x's and a 35. So 35 plus 2x is equal to 180, and that was A. Number 10, what is the solution to this equation? So I drew my line to separate my left from my right, and the very first thing I wanted to do was move this 12.56. I had to use inverse operations to zero that out, and then I subtracted it from the left side. 25.16 minus 12.56 is 12.60. I brought down my 3x. To isolate the variable, I divide by 3 on both sides. 3 divided by 3 is 1. I bring down my x. 12.60 divided by 3, I've done here, is 4.2. So F is your answer, 4.2. And you can always substitute these values in here and see when I multiply them, which one gives me 25.6 when I add that to the 12.56. That is another way to do that. Number 11, the model below represents an equation. What value of x makes this equation true? So what we've got to notice here is 35 is equal to 2x's plus 8.8. So the equation we're going to write is 2x plus 8.8 equals 35. And you could have written it the other way, 35 equals 2x plus 8.8. First step, subtract 8.8 from both sides. That zeroes out. I bring down my 2x. Subtract, I get 26.2. Make sure when you're subtracting, you line up your decimal points. And then in this case, I had to add a 0 for the tenths. So I have 2x is equal to 26.2. Divide by 2 to isolate my variable and solve for x. And I get x equals 13.1. That is D. Number 12, Kiera downloaded 264 pictures from her cell phone to her computer. These pictures took up 528 megabytes of space on her computer. Each picture took up the same amount of space. How many megabytes do 35 of these pictures take up? So I have 264 pictures over 528 megabytes equals 35 pictures over we don't know how many megabytes. So I cross multiplied, and so I have 264x, and then when I multiplied 525 times 35 over here, I got 18,480. To isolate x, solve, I divide by 264 on both sides. 264 divided by 264 is 1, bring down my x. 18,480 divided by 264, I did that over here, is 70. So x equals 70, 70 megabytes is the correct answer. Number 13. Which number line represents the solution to the inequality negative 8x minus 41 is less than or equal to negative 65? So to solve this, the first thing I did was I inversed my subtracting 41. I add 41 to both sides. And when I do that, I get negative 8x is less than or equal to, and that's negative 24. Divide by negative 8, divide by negative 8 to get x isolated. And remember, when we multiply or divide by a negative in our inequalities, we need to flip that inequality symbol. And then negative 8 divided by negative 8 is 1, bring down my x. Negative 24 divided by negative 8 is 3. Negative divided by a negative is a positive. So I end up with x is greater than or equal to 3. And the inequality, let's see, our number line that right here, 3 and greater. And it includes 3, it's closed. Number 14, Miss Jacobs is an artist. For each mural she paints, she charges $65 for the first hour she works and $30 for each additional hour. Miss Jacobs charged a total of $747 for a job on Friday. Which equation can be used to determine H, the number of additional hours she worked on this job? So we know she charged a total of $747. She starts out charging $65 and then it's $30 per hour. So our correct equation is H. Number 15. The model represents an equation. What is the solution for this equation? There are a couple different ways to do this. The first thing I did was build my expression for each side of the balance. So I had 3 x's, plus I had 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12 units. And on this side, I had 3, 6, 9, 10, 2 is 18. And they're equal to each other. That's a level balance. So 3x plus 12 is equal to 18. Here I solved this. And I got x equals 2. Your other option is to say, for every 2, those cancel each other out, right? Cancel, cancel, cancel. Now I'm left with 3 2's and 3 x's. So each x is worth 2. So if you don't know how to set this up, using the model to solve is another way to do that. Number 16, Frank and his family drove 6 hours every day during a road trip. What graph best represents y, the total number of hours driven in x days? So we have 6 hours each day. I've marked this 1 day, 6 hours. Doesn't follow my graph right here. 1 day, 6 hours here. 2 days would be 12. That doesn't line up. This stays the same. It's constant. J, for 1, it's going down, so that should be an immediate red flag. But here, for 1 day, 6 hours doesn't line up either. Here, I've got 1 day, 6 hours, so 2 day, 12, 3 days, 18. G is the correct graph. Number 17. The sum of the measures of angle M and angle R is 90 degrees. So when I add them up, I get 90 degrees. The measure of angle M is 5x plus 20 degrees. The measure of angle R is 50 degrees. So when I have 5x plus 20 plus 50, that equals 90. So the first thing I did was combine my terms. 20 plus 50 is 70. And then I used inverse operations, zeroed out my 70, brought down my 5x. 90 minus 70 is 20. Divide by 5 to isolate my variable. 5 divided by 5 is 1, bring down x. 20 divided by 5 is 4. X equals 4. The value of x is 4. If you need any help on any of this, please come to my meeting. I will be in there from 11:15 to noon today. We will not have a meeting tomorrow because of the exam. Have a great day.